Hey guys, so for today's lesson, we're going to continue working on our dinosaur. We're going to start making it out of clay. Everybody can get a pack of clay either from me at school, or you can come in to pick yours up at the front office. You'll need glue, pencil, eraser, and you're going to need a little piece of poster board like this. The first thing we're going to do is redraw our dinosaur skeleton on this poster board, and then we're going to shape the clay and glue it down to create our dinosaur. Alright, so now that I've sketched out my dinosaur real quick, I'm going to open up my pack of clay. This is Model Magic clay, so it is an air drying clay. It's really light, soft, spongy, and easy to use. Alright, so this one piece of clay will create my whole dinosaur. Maybe you have a little bit left over, but you won't be getting any more than this, so you need to make this fit into the space of your dinosaur. So the first thing I'm going to do is break it into pieces. A piece for the head, a piece for the ribs, and I'm trying to piece them all about the same size as the shapes that I've drawn here. Place for the hips. Okay, I'm going to need some for the two legs. I'm going to need some for the two arms, which are small. Okay, they're small, but they're not real tiny. We're going to add a little bit more for that. And then I'll have some left over. I'm going to take some for this, for my spine. And that should be okay. I think I might need a little bit more from the spine. So you see me taking from some of the other ones because I'm not going to get any more clay. So I want to break all mine down into the pieces I need first. Head, ribs. I'll take some for the ribs because the ribs aren't going to be a solid shape. Head, ribs, hips, spine, legs, arms. Okay? And I'm going to show you how to do this in the next few steps. Okay, so for the first part, I'm going to show you in regular speed how we're going to create the head and get that glued down, and then the rest I'm going to show you in fast forward. So the head we know is two parts. It's the upper part and the jaw. So I'm going to split those in half. Not quite in half. The top part's going to be bigger. The bottom part's going to be smaller. I'm going to roll this into a ball and then kind of roll it into the shape of an oval a little bit to kind of get the shape of the head. Roll that down. That's going to be the shape of my jaw. I'm going to check. This is where you can kind of pinch it real lightly with your fingers and change the shape. That kind of looks more like a jawbone, and you can start to flatten it a little bit, not real hard, and then kind of pinch it into the shape that you think you want it to be. So between these two, I think I have a pretty decent dinosaur skeleton skull. I'm going to put a little bit of glue, just a dot, and then I'm going to spread it around with the nose of the glue. You can use a glue stick too, or any other type of glue if you have it. Then I'm going to take this and put it down where I want it. Now, once you put this down in the glue, it's really not going to move too much, so don't try to move it around. We did talk about our details that we had in our skull. You can use a pencil, the end of a pencil, and you can kind of move it around like this to kind of create some of those shapes in the skull. You can use something like that maybe for like the teeth, the little dots, texture dots. So that's the first part, glued down pretty good, and now I'm going to work on the rest in fast forward. Alright, so next I am taking my clay and rolling it into a long skinny line for the spine here. I'm going to put a little bit of glue down, remember not too much, and my spine was a little too long, so I did pinch off a little bit of extra. I'm using the pencil to create some texture into the spine as well. Next I'm building the ribs. I'm just taking the piece I had for the ribs, breaking tiny little pieces and rolling little lines, and then kind of stacking them together to make it look like ribs, all in a row there. And then I'm going to lift that up, put a little bit of glue under there, and place that back in the glue. Next is the hips. Going to roll it into a ball, kind of flatten it down, and then use the pencil to press two little holes into it for like the ball and socket. For the legs, I'm going to break the pieces down into three parts: the upper part of the leg, the lower part of the leg, and the part for the feet. If you see here, I'm rolling a ball, putting my finger right in the middle, and then I'm rolling back and forth to create what looks like a bone, and then I'm putting those together to make it look like a complete leg, an upper and lower part of the leg. For the feet, I just kind of break that one ball down into 3 little pieces, and then I kind of put them together, coming out like a triangle, spreading out. For both of the feet, I'm going to do the same thing. Next, we're going to be moving on to the arms. The arms are basically like a tiny version of the legs. You want to break them all into the pieces and then roll them in the center to kind of create that ball and socket look of a bone. 2 tiny little claws where I've rolled it a little bit harder at the end to kind of pinch it and make it look like a claw. And then I'm gluing those pieces down. I have a little bit of extra clay, and that is my artwork. Okay guys, so the project for today is basically done. We are going to do something to it next week, but we do want to add something to it lastly. If you guys don't have glue at home, it's okay. You can do this project without gluing. It's just going to be not sticking to the poster board as well. It will still stick, just let it dry. If you do have glue like this at home, the last step is we are going to kind of drizzle glue all over our dinosaur, just like this. This might seem like a weird step, but this is going to glue and give us a little bit of texture at the end. I'm going to glue it everywhere, not just over my dinosaur, but all over my poster board. This is going to help it look more like a fossil and a rock in the end when it's done and dry. It will also help hold this together. So I'm going to make sure I've got it everywhere, kind of just drizzled down over top like it's icing or something like that. And you're basically done for today. Once you get this step done, put it somewhere, let it dry, and we'll get back to it next week.